The advanced mechanic for gadgets is called Advanced Interactions, which allows us to use 3 different setups to trigger powerful burst damage. Each setup requires you finish the combo by casting EMP or Paralyzing Dart, which is what produces 80% of your damage. This AM is might based, and activating the advanced mechanic prevents weapon mastery critical damage bonuses for 12 seconds. When using this AM, you get 5% critical ability attack chance and 25% critical ability attack damage to your power damage. You can unlock weapon mastery with your skill points and receive this buff. Weapon mastery's 20% critical weapon attack damage only applies to weapon damage. The 3 different setups you can use are Distract, Stealth, and 3 PIs. Using any of these has the game register a tag on your character. That means you're marked as having met the requirement to activate the AM high damage for EMP or Paralyzing Dart after you've performed 1 power for Distract or Stealth, or 3 powers for the 3 PI setup. Distract is the easiest way to boost EMP or Paralyzing Dart. Simply cast Distract first, then EMP or Paralyzing Dart, and you'll trigger the AM damage. Distract has a 20-second cooldown, which is its downside. You just have to work that in the rotation as you use the 3 PI approach. You cannot use EMP and clip that with Distract to deal AM damage anymore. Stealth is the second setup. You'll deal AM damage when you use EMP or Paralyzing Dart from within the Stealth loadout tray, which has a downside of not granting you a damage modifier for EMP. That includes not giving you the 60% modifier if you're wearing the max damage home turf hand mod. Because you're not registered as a DPS in stealth form, you'll just get the 10% damage modifier using the max damage mod. This does not affect P-Dart because it's instant. Instead, you can go into stealth, then unstealth, and then use EMP from your normal damage tray. You do this by casting an offensive power from within the stealth tray, or use return to normal, then wait until you see your normal damage loadout tray, and then quickly hit EMP. You can hit powers within stealth like Gauss Grenade, Cryofoam, which has a slight delay, or the Bunker Buster Supercharge, and that will bring you out of stealth. Then you can hit EMP as soon as the cooldown comes off those powers in your transition, and you'll do AM damage with the benefit of a higher damage modifier. Stealth has a 30-second cooldown, which is its weakness, but just like with Distract, you can work that in a rotation while using the 3 PI setup. Before I get into the 3 PI setup, you need to know about Battle Awareness and Battle Display. Battle Awareness allows specific superpowers to activate power regeneration. Battle Awareness is turned on by casting Battle Display, and it lasts for 3.5 seconds every time it's refreshed. This animation, the screen in front of your character's face, is indicative of Battle Awareness being active. You can only use power regeneration in damage roll, not controller roll. The amount of power you receive is based off of, and here's a quote, a percentage of the power pool per tick, end quote. That's directly from Tunso. That's over the course of 8 ticks. You do not have to hit a target to activate power regen. Battle Display also gives you 3 ticks of heals, but it does not give additional damage boosts. You can perform the advanced mechanic without Battle Display, except that will require 2 or more controllers, sodas, supply drops, and/or power supercharges. Battle Display and Battle Awareness only make it so you have a power income. You can also put this power in your stealth tray to make use of EMP3 loadouts and rotations. The 3 power interaction setup, aka 3PI, is where most of your damage and performance is coming from. It requires more work and can cost a lot of power, but that's why we covered battle display first. The end result will be you using EMP1, which is just 3 PIs, EMP and intimidation, EMP2, which is 3 PIs, EMP and distract, or EMP3, which is 3 PIs, EMP, distract, and stealth. The same applies to using P-Dart. The number after P-Dart or EMP just means how many ways you have to set up for AM burst damage. So anyway, in order to trigger the advanced damage for EMP or paralyzing dart, you must use 3 different powers from within our power set to create 3 different power interactions. The game must register 3 different PIs created by 3 different powers in order for you to be tagged. Just to recap, tagging is the process of a player casting a strict list of specific powers so that the game checks you off as having met the requirements to reward you with your power AM burst hit. With the 3 PIs, there's a checklist of 3 abilities. Because of how tagging works, it checks off the player and not your enemy. So you don't need your target to stay alive for you to deal AM damage. You don't even need to hit a target with your 3 powers as you build up to EMP or P-Dart. To it, you need to inflict power interactions from within the power set. The same powers you're allowed to use in the 3 PI setup benefit from Battle Display's power regen. Some powers will directly apply the power interactions. Powers like Gauss Grenade, Napalm Grenade, Sticky Bomb, Stasis Field, Taser Pull, Cryo Field, Vortex Cannon, and Cryofoam. While one other, like Fear Gas, will require you to activate power interactions in steps. Quick info on Fear Gas: it's a channeling ability, so you'll need to jump cancel it, so you aren't losing time. Otherwise, you can keep channeling for an extra 3 ticks of damage. Just know that by the time that you are done, you'll still be able to hit EMP for registered AM damage. But back to PIs. Fear Gas does not inflict the power interaction by itself. It needs electrified effects to be used first in order to activate the burning power interaction, which then tags you. So you would use Gauss Grenade or Taser Pull first, and then Fear Gas, and then you activate burning. Here you trigger the electric power interaction first. Then by using Fear Gas right after, you set off the burning PI. So you have fulfilled 2 out of the 3 PIs needed to complete the tagging for your EMP or your P-Dart hit. Depending on your theme or approach, you choose the final power. Do note you cannot use powers that inflict the same power interaction in the same loadout. That means no Napalm with Gauss Grenade or Taser Pull into Fear Gas because of the burning PI, no Sticky Bomb or Vortex Cannon because of the dazing PI, no Gauss Grenade and Taser Pull because of the electric PI, and no Cryo Foam and Cryo Field because of the Frostbite PI. Gadgets inflicts 5 types of power interactions: Frostbite, Burning, Dazed, Crushed, and Electrify. With the exception of Crushed through Stasis Field, all have a minimum of 2 powers you can use. Burning is your only PI that is set up through a combination of powers. When using your 3 PIs, pick powers that best fit the instance you're in. Burst damage is always superior on NPCs you overgear. Damage over time is best suited for very long fights with constant interruptions. Look to see if you need single target focus damage or if you need powers that will hit 2 or more targets, which will inflate your numbers on the scorecard. Go through the powers in the tactics and devices tree and read the power interactions description. You'll see which powers you can use for AM damage tagging and battle display power regen. All the burst powers benefit from 50% more damage if you buff them with a specific PI. An example is Napalm Grenade deals 50% more damage if targets are frostbitten or electrified, so you might consider using Gauss than Napalm when making your loadout. The damage over time powers, except for Stasis Field, benefit from explosive damage, which is only high for Fear Gas if targets are burning or electrified. On the topic of damage over time, if you choose not to run with Distract, you can also use Intimidation, which is a might-based proc by itself. It does not buff your character with stats, but grants a chance to register might damage off of power or weapon damage. If Battle Display is active, you have Intimidation on cooldown, and you hit a target with EMP or P-Dart, you will trigger 14 ticks of damage. Note that sometimes you may run into issues with PI tagging depending on the order you use certain powers. There are occasions where if you use something like Gauss Grenade, then Vortex Cannon, then Fear Gas might not tag you properly. Ideally, you do not want to put a space between your Electrifier and Fear Gas because that's where the issue may arise. So try to use them consecutively. So it will be Gauss Grenade and then Fear Gas immediately. In addition, Cryo Foam and Cryo Field also inflict burning on electrified targets as well as Frostbite. So there have been occasions where using Fear Gas last and a Gauss Grenade, then Cryo Foam, then Fear Gas rotation, sometimes it may not tag you properly because of Cryo Foam stealing the burning PI. Again, try to couple Gauss Grenade with Fear Gas right after, and then proceed. Finishing up with a bit of info, powers 1 and 2 in your 3 PI setup have a tagging window that lasts about 2.5 seconds. Once you get to power number 3, you have 3 seconds to hit EMP or P-Dart before you lose your tag. The same applies to EMP and stealth use. If you go over the 2.5 or 3 second mark, you'll have to go back to power 1 to restart the rotation. Targets that are encased will take damage from your might-based burst powers within gadgets. In addition, EMP and Paralyzing Dart do not benefit from the 50% PI buff when used with the advanced mechanic. Regarding research and development mods and skill points, ideally you do want to lean in favor of might, so you can put a pure might mod in your head and chest socket on your gear, considering they benefit weapon damage. Hopefully this video will help you understand how to use the gadget's advanced mechanic. If you have questions, ask them on my YouTube video comment, or visit the Gadgets Guide in Oracle's database on the DCUO forums.